Oh hi, in this video I'm going to build this simple list app. The app will enable you to add items like this, you can swipe delete items like this, and when you click the edit button you can also delete items in this way if you prefer, and you can rearrange the rows exactly how you want those rows rearranging. And when you leave the app and then reopen it, as you can see, the items and row orders have been saved in core data. So if this is something you want to do, let's build this app. The first step is to build a core data model. So let's start by opening a new Xcode project, and we'll call the list simple list. So just project name, simple with a capital S and list with a capital L. You need to make sure that you've chosen SwiftUI as the interface. The lifecycle is SwiftUI app, and you also need to check that use core data box is checked. And then save that project wherever you would save your projects. And for me, I'm just going to swipe away this preview area. The first thing you're going to see is that Xcode has generated a lot of boilerplate code, which will assist building a core data app. But for this list app, we're going to delete much of this boilerplate code. So I'm going to delete the environment, fetch request, and the var there. I'm going to delete all the items in the body apart from the last two brackets. We're going to delete this private function add item. We're going to delete this private function delete items. And we don't need the item formatter, so we're going to delete that as well. So you can see we've got some errors. This is just because we've got nothing in our body, so just in now just write text and my list. That should clear those errors. The next thing we need to do is go into our data model, and where it says item, you just want to delete that entity. And we're going to add a new entity, so at the bottom plus sign, in there we're going to write list items with capital L I S T, capital I T E M S, sorry. Then we're going to add in the attributes, we're going to add three attributes. So ID, which is a universal unique identifier. Another attribute called item name. All these need to be in lowercase, so it's ITEM and name. And that's going to be a type of string. And then the last one that we're going to do is row order. And that is going to be a type integer 64. Now, because we've deleted the original entity and we created this list items entity, we need to go into persistent Swift, and where you'll see in the preview there, you'll see where it says item. We need to change that to list items, and we also need to delete the timestamp. So let's just go back to our content view. So back in our content view, we just need to write a few lines of code to complete our core data setup. So I now write at environment bracket backslash dot managed object context private var and then view context. And then the next line is going to be at fetch request sort descriptors brackets. What's the different types of brackets? NS sort descriptor sorry, just there, we're going to write key path, colon, backslash list items dot row order, comma, ascending, true, and there. And then just before the last bracket, we're going to put comma, animation, colon, dot default. And then we write private var my items colon fetched results this time, not fetch request. And in there we're just going to write list items. So you can see that Xcode is generating an error which says it cannot find type list items in scope. So what we need to do with this is I always click file and save just to make sure everything's been updated. And then what I would do, I would come out of the app, so in the red cross in the corner. I would then go back into the app and reload it. So to complete our core data model, we just now need to create 3 state variables, which our program will use. So at state var item name for text field equals string, and then at state var is editing edit mode equals dot inactive, and then at state var switch between edit mode equals false. So that completes our data model. We'll just build and run that. Yeah, everything seems to be working fine. So our next step is to create the user interface. So we'll remove where it says text and my list. We're going to put a text field and an edit button horizontally next to each other. So we want to put hstack brackets, and then we're going to put text field brackets enter item, then comma text colon $ item name for text field dot on commit colon brackets, and in there we're just going to write if item name for text field is not blank, so 2 speech marks for blank, brackets, let item to save equal list items brackets context, and then we're going to go self and view context. Next we're going to put item to save dot ID equals universal unique identifier UUID brackets. So if you recall, we created our entity and we had 3 attributes, so we need to save something every time we had an item for each of those attributes. So we're going to put item to save. For the next attribute, which was item name, then equal speech marks, backslash, brackets, and there we're just going to put item name for text field. And then we're going to put for the third attribute, item to save, dot row order equals brackets my items dot last question mark dot row order double question mark 0, and I'm just going to put +1. So we need to save those attributes, so we put try question mark self dot view context dot save. Then we want to blank out our text field after we've added an item, so we're going to write item name for text field equals speech marks. So just after the 2 brackets there, and you need to watch all the different types of brackets we use in this program, we're going to add some styling. So we put dot padding brackets, and then we're going to write 20, and then we're going to write dot font dot system, and then there 20. Now we're going to create our button, so we type button brackets, and then I'm going to write action colon, different types of brackets again, watch those. I'm just going to move that down slightly. And in there I'm going to write switch between edit mode dot toggle double brackets, and then if switch between edit mode equals true brackets is editing equals dot active, and then we're going to put else is editing equals dot inactive, and then just between these 2 brackets I'm going to put a comma, and then I'm going to write in there label colon, and create 2 more brackets, and then in between those 2 brackets I'm going to write text bracket equals edit, and then dot padding. So the final thing we need in our user interface is going to be a list. So we're going to put it at this point in the program. We're going to write list brackets, and I'm going to put for each my items, comma ID dot ID, and then brackets add to list in. Next we're going to write text brackets speech mark backslash add to list dot item name double question mark. I'm just going to write unknown in there. Just finish those speech marks. So we're going to add some styling, so we'll just go 1 line down from there. I'm going to write dot font brackets dot system, and we'll go for size, I'm just going to put 20 in there. So let's just run and build that and see what we've got. Okay, so we've got our text field and we've got an edit button. We should be able to add items to our app, so I'll just put an iPad. Let's go for iPod. And let's just go for a MacBook. Click return. So you can see that we can't yet edit, move rows. We can't swipe delete either. But what you can see is if we come out the app, and when we reopen the app, you can see that our items have been saved into core data. In this final step, we're going to build the delete function and move row function. But first, we're going to add 3 new lines of code to our list. So just below this bracket, and where it says .font, we're going to write .onMove and perform. Yep. And then in there, we're going to write move. And underneath there, we're going to write .onDelete. Brackets, perform, colon, and delete in there. Okay, so we're going to get a few errors. That's because we haven't actually created these functions yet. After that bracket, we're going to write .environment, edit mode, comma, .constant, brackets is editing. So just below this bracket, we're going to write private func delete brackets at offsets colon index set brackets for offset in offsets brackets let item name equal my items offset view context delete item name save data. Okay, we've got that because we haven't created a function called save data yet, so we're going to do that now, and we're just going to go 2 brackets down, and then we're going to write private func save data brackets, and then we're going to try question mark self dot view context dot save. Okay, within our program, you may recall we added a row order item within our core data, so we'll need to reorder our row order numbers so they stay sequential when we move rows. There are lots of different ways of doing this. You'll find in books, the internet, but this is a solution I was working on, and I will explain how it works later on in the video. So just between these 2 brackets, we'll write private func move from source colon index set comma to destination colon, and then integer, if source dot first greater than destination, brackets, my items source dot first exclamation mark dot row order equals my items destination dot row order -1. And then I put for I in destination dot 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 my items dot count -1, and I put in there my items brackets I dot row order equals my items I dot row order +1. Just get rid of that typing error. And then 2 brackets down, I'm going to write the reverse of that, which is if source dot first exclamation mark is less than destination, brackets, my items source dot first dot row order equals my items destination -1 dot row order +1. And then we're going to write for I in 0 to destination -1 my items I dot row order equals my items I dot row order -1. And the final piece of code, just going to insert it there between those brackets, is going to be save data. Okay, so let's just build and run that. So because we added these items before the program was complete, I suggest we just, to avoid any possible errors, just click out of that, just click on the list and hold, remove app, delete, and then just run that again. Right, so you'll see that you can now enter an item. So I'm just going to complete a list and then I'll cut back in to save some time. Okay, you can see we've got our list. So you can see that we can now swipe delete items and look up this way. We can edit, and we can, if we want, delete items in this way also. And we can also now rearrange our rows. So you could put that, set the map up to the top if you wanted, and then you could put the iPad to the bottom. You can move the HomePod wherever you want. And if we click edit, come out of our program, go back in, you'll see that core data is saved not only the item names, but it's also saved the reorder rows as well. Okay, to finish, let's have a quick look at how that reorder function works. So you remember at the start of our program, we created a fetch request at the top there, and we said that we want the row orders in ascending numbers, so it's going to print the lowest number of the order first, etc. So let's just have a look how that prints out in our user interface. So we'll go to our list and we'll write in there, we'll write hyphen row order space backslash brackets, and there we'll just put add to list dot row order. Let's just run that and see what we've got. So if we look at our move function, the source is the first cell that we pick up, and the destination is the area that we're going to move it to, basically. So if, for example, we move this MacBook down to the very bottom, so that would be this one. So we're moving the source is currently less than the destination, so that's the source. This is the destination. So if we move that down below the iPad, what you'll see is what the MacBook was number 1 before, but it's now number 7, and all the other numbers have been reordered as well. And a similar thing happens if we say we picked up this iPad and we want to move that iPad to the top. So this would be the first one where it says their source is greater than destination. So we're going to pick up the iPad, move that above the iPod, and that where it says 6 will become 1, and then you'll see all those cells have gone up by 1. And this happens, you'll just see the numbers change. And it's as simple as that. So let's just go back into our app and let's just remove that row order, print in there, and then let's just run that again. And there you go, you'll see you've got your list back. And as I said before, if you come out of the list, and go back in, all the items and the row orders have been saved into core data. So I hope that's been useful, and thanks very much for watching.